Welcome in and welcome back. I am going to talk a little bit about something that is not 100% out of the norm for this channel, but certainly something that I don't want to do very often. I'm going to give you, first off, a list of names. Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Oprah. Assuredly, no matter who you are, you are familiar with at least one of these names. I want you to imagine that person, ruminate on that individual, how important they are, how powerful they are, how rich they are, how notorious they are, how much notoriety that individual has. Now imagine you wake up one morning and that person is a missing persons. I'm not talking no one has heard from them. I'm not talking Elon Musk hasn't tweeted in 24 hours. I'm talking side of a milk carton missing, because that is the case in China at this very moment. A billionaire is missing. 1BNMIA. Jack Ma is missing. Jack Ma, often referred to as the richest man in China, one of the richest people in the entire world, one of the richest individuals, insofar as that individual was allowed to have money. Jack Ma has recently talked poorly about the old-fashioned ways in which some parts of the Chinese government mechanize themselves. Because of that, much outrage happened until Jack Ma was disappeared. No one has heard from Jack Ma in months, apparently. November, apparently, was the last time that Jack Ma was heard from. I was not privy to this information until all of the news articles started popping up on the overnight. Unfortunately, this happens. People are disappeared in China all the time. And look, I am fortunate enough to have in my days known many immigrants from China, and they are wonderful people. They are intelligent, they are humble, they are hardworking, they have a sense of humor. They are a net positive to the United States when they decide to immigrate to the United States. I mean this 100% wholeheartedly, so that what I am about to say is not about race. The Chinese people are wonderful and impressive people. Ask Elon Musk. Elon Musk recently set up the first wholly American-owned auto plant in China with Tesla. That plant went up in record time. That plant has seen record sales. That plant has seen record productivity. The individuals working in that plant are extremely impressive people. The government of China is not impressive. If you want to know the truth about the Chinese government, ask a Chinese person who does not plan on going back to China. This is the reason that something such as a Cold War, something such as a standoff with China, is important. Ask Mark Cuban how he feels about China. Ask LeBron James how he feels about China. They won't tell you. They won't say anything disastrous about China. They won't be honest about the goings-on in China. They will not. Why? Because the NBA does a great deal of business in China, and in China, when you criticize the government, you don't do business anymore. This is not simply something that is top of mind, easygoing, able to be forgotten. Someone such as Jack Ma being disappeared is absolutely terrifying. Imagine Jeff Bezos, in a very Jeff Bezos way, comes out one day and criticizes Donald Trump. Says, yeah, Trump's a blowhard and he's a dumb son of a bitch. And then No one hears from Jeff. Nobody hears from Jeff. No one knows where he is. Didn't show up to work. Didn't take any of his calls. People call and ask for interviews. He isn't there. His secretary hasn't heard from him. His secretary doesn't know what to tell you. Jeff Bezos is gonzos. Missing. And Kayleigh McEnany comes out in that fiery way that she comes out and refuses to answer any questions about Jeff Bezos. Don't know. Hey, don't know. Ask Jeff Bezos where Jeff Bezos is. What if that were the game of the United States? We wouldn't stand for it, would we? That is not the way that things are allowed to happen here. We don't play those games. Homie don't play those games. The fact that, and this is very interesting about Elon Musk as well. Elon Musk parses words about China, but he's very complimentary about his workforce. Elon Musk says the Chinese people are very impressive. They do not have the sense of self-righteousness and the sense of they don't feel like they are owed things like American workers do. And he was taking pot shots at California while he was doing it. Makes a whole lot of sense, but he didn't say, oh yeah, their government's great, man. Oh yeah, government's great. I think Elon Musk is 100% ready for the Chinese government to attempt to screw him in some manner. He's just too smart for it. And I think the Chinese government knows that. I think that the Chinese government was so desperate to increase their environment in some way that they caved in to Elon Musk saying, hey, if we're going to have a plant in your country, we're going to own it. I still think that Elon Musk is, if you listen to the words he uses about China, I still think that he is hesitant to speak even positively about the Chinese government. This is terrifying because China, the Chinese government, is fighting an economic war. And it's an economic war of attrition. Do you know what attrition is? Attrition, if I, as a soldier, can take out one of your soldiers before I get taken out, the bigger country wins that war all the time because the bigger country can lose more people. China can starve far more citizens than can the United States, than would the United States. I think that this is a pressing matter. This is something that should be weighing into political decisions. This is something that should be weighing into economic decisions. This is something that should be weighing into the daily morality in every country on the globe. The question is, what do you do about it? How do you fight this battle? How do you fight this battle as an individual? It's easy to say, well, don't order things from China. Everything almost passes through China in some way. Whether that's the parts, whether that's the labor, whether that's the construction of something, whether that's the actual, whether the thing itself is shipped from China. Is that even the right battle to be picking? After all, no one really has anything negative to say about the Chinese people. It's just the government. And the government is more than willing to use their citizenry in yeoman-like fashion as a human shield, one after the other, just to let people fall. Back in the Obama days, there was a meme going around of Obama walking next to Xi Jinping. And they look like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger walking next to each other. You can Google that, and it's a funny picture. You can't in China for a couple different reasons. Number one, because you can't Google. in China. Number two, because you definitely can't search for that. That little bit of criticism, you can't search for that in China, for sure. So I think the best way to combat something like this is through mockery. It would be through the great meme war of 2021, to meme Xi Jinping into irrelevance. Why? Can that happen? No, absolutely it cannot. But someone so thin-skinned as that can be mocked into acting erratically. A government structure such as that can be mocked into acting erratically. This is insane. This is an insane story. The only thing that I think is promising for Ma and his survival is the fact that he hasn't woken up dead yet. I think that if the Chinese government were planning to do away with him, it would be much smarter, much more intelligent to have just, Jack Ma happened to overdose over the weekend, and not have him as a missing person for 3 months before that happens. That is awfully suspicious. That is awfully conspicuous. But I ask you, what can we do? What should we do? What should the actions be against a government from the outside that treats its own people in this fashion? There was a businessman who had escaped China, we'll put it that way, who had escaped from China. He was successful, well-known, escaped from China, and was giving an interview a couple years ago. I got this from Jeremy over at Financial Education. I had not heard this story. And this was, I think, in 2018 or 2019, way before any of this stuff had happened. And he said of Ma, I think that within a couple years, Jack Ma will be in jail or dead because the government wants to run one of Jack Ma's companies, Ant Group. Ant Incorporated? Ant Group, I think it is. The government wants that property. So Jack Ma will either be arrested or killed. Here we are, mere months later, such has occurred. You're not going to hear about it. You're not going to hear much about this from the mainstream media. Why? Because they're in bed with the Chinese government. And that's terrifying. That should terrify you. That is awful. That should terrify you. That is all I have for this video. It helps me out if you hit that like button, if I talked any sense at all and I was not simply wearing a tinfoil hat in this video. And if you want to hear more from me, hit that subscribe button.